Hey, it's Marc, Loftus, editor of Post, and we're here at the NAB New York show, and I'm joined by Horacio Malvicino, who is the founder and co-partner of Malvicinio Design Group, based here in New York. Horacio, thanks for joining us here on Post TV.
Nice to be here.
So let's hear a little bit about you. You guys do system integration, you do studio design, it covers a wide spectrum. What is your business? Who do you work with, and what kind of work are you doing?
Well, it's pretty broad because we do like you said, first we do acoustic design.
Acoustic design.
So we get approached by a lot of people that want to design a recording studio or a post-pro facility or a TV studio. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the clienteles that we have. And then the second clientele is the people that come in and they tell you, what I want you to integrate my studio, install all the gear, So we're pretty much a one-stop show. Everything gets handled, within the company. We don't sub, which is great. And then another thing that we do, is that we manufacture our own studio furniture and we manufacture our own acoustic treatments, So basically, like I said before, it's a one-stop shop. You can get everything done. As far as clients, like right now we're doing a lot of Atmos, Atmos music, and Atmos film. Atmos music, we're doing rooms for Childish Gambino, the rapper. We're doing Kid Cudi. We're doing Eminem in Detroit.
These are all residential.
They're all residential studios. Yeah. Then we're doing a lot of post pro. We're doing OBB in Los Angeles, and which is a big post production facility and recording studio with an Atmos room and a shooting stage, and in Burbank. So we have, and then we do TV studios, and
right. And all over the world.
And we work all over the world, yeah.
Wow.
And we have a crew that actually, if we need to supply a client with a construction team, we do have a crew that would actually fly and build a studio for them if we can't find a suitable crew, like a local GC.
That can do the construction to what your expectations are.
We did, a couple of years ago, we did a studio for Guy Laliberté, which is the owner of, the previous owner of Cirque du Soleil, in a private island in Tahiti,
Wow.
And, an island where only small planes can land.
Yeah.
Everything had to be brought from strategic locations.
Right, so the construction alone would be a challenge. They're getting
because you couldn't get sheetrock, you couldn't get plywood in Papete, in the main island, so everything had to come in from like different places.
Wow,
so it was interesting. It was a 3-month project. We brought in a construction crew and
Is your background in architecture, or is it in audio? Or
no, I have as a matter of fact, it's weird. I have an electronics degree.
Electronics, okay.
From MIT, and which really doesn't apply much to what I do. You see, in the early 80s, when I graduated from college, I moved to New York, and I decided, when all my peers were getting scouted to go to Siemens or GE or big companies, my thing was to move to New York and work in a recording studio.
Okay.
Fixing gear.
Yeah.
Big departure from making $60K a year back in 1980 to making $20K a year.
Okay.
And working 16 hours a day.
Right.
So I work in a lot of recording studios as a tech.
Okay.
Fixing gear and stuff like that. And then obviously I learned a lot about gear, about installation, and about treating clients. And I work in big studios. I work at A&R, I work at the Hit Factory, I work at Electric Lady.
All New York fixtures.
So at the end of the day, I had a good background in terms of electronics and designing installations, installing consoles, And then after that, when I started doing installations for other designers, I got the bug of why can't I do studio design, isolation. So I learned and I went into that too. So that becomes the two things that we do the most, and together.
So that brings us to Atmos. You're seeing a need for studios to either upgrade or design Atmos specific rooms.
It's insane.
Really?
It's insane. I mean, if I tell you that the last 2 years have been the best 2 years that we had in the last 15. even with the pandemic,
Good news.
And
Hey,
oh yeah, it's amazing.
So what are the needs for a existing facility that wants to add an Atmos room or a new facility that wants to build one? Can you talk about like the different scenarios?
Yeah, well, the thing is that, you have two scenarios, You got one that is Atmos, film, which is theatrical or home theater, sort of certification, And then you got what we call Atmos music, where a lot of the record companies are going back, taking the old catalog and make it immersive.
Okay, so there's not a picture element of it, it's just a sound element.
So, with the sound element, you're talking about, a setup that is 714, so you get LCR, you get, 4 speakers, 2 on each side on the surrounds, 2 in the rear, and 4 speakers on the top, and the subs, And what happens is that most of the old catalogs, they're not mixed for that. They were mixed for stereo. So, so there's a need now to turn all that catalog into Atmos music. So you can go on Apple Music and listen immersive, So that's the new trend, So a lot of the recording studios had to be turned into 714.
Okay.
Which means before we had a speaker on the left, a speaker on the right, and a pretty straightforward, installation. Suddenly we got to add, 4 speakers on the ceiling, 4 speakers on the right, left and right wall, and 2 speakers on the rear, which means that, you need to run cables for the speakers, run power for the speakers, create some sort of a structure that will hold this whole, immersive setup.
Yeah.
Which is a big challenge, Yeah. But all the record companies are going back to building new rooms. We did one here in New York for UMG, for Republic Records, and they're taking all the oral catalog where they remix it,
And how about on the film studio side, where they have film mixing capabilities, but they want to upgrade to Atmos, which it's a necessity these days.
I mean, obviously, a lot, especially in LA, a lot of small film mixing rooms that start popping up, and because technology is so incredible now, and then you can build the theatrical certification room in a place slightly bigger than a 2-car garage.
But there is space that has to be considered. There are certain specs or standards that it has.
We when we design a Dolby Atmos facility, whether it is film or music, we go by a software that Dolby developed, which is the DART, DARDT, and which is like a glorified Excel that has all the speakers available in the market. You input the size of the room. You go through the menu with all the speakers that you want to put in there. It will tell you if you have the right, sound pressure level, which is one of the biggest concerns, and it will tell you if it falls within, the Dolby specs. We recently built a place in Mexico for Martin Hernandez. Martin Hernandez is a sound editor and sound designer that has done all the Iñárritu movies, like The Revenant, Birdman, and he's done a lot of movies for Del Toro also.
Okay.
So we built a 6-studio facility in the city of Mexico, and which is called Argos. Argos is like the #1 production company in Mexico.
Okay.
Film production company. They got sound stages, they shoot film, they do a lot of stuff for Netflix, Hulu. And we did 6 rooms, 4, within the Dolby, 2 within the Dolby, theatrical certification, and 4 for the Dolby, home theater certification. So, Martin is like, Oscar nominated, BAFTA, won BAFTA, he won a bunch of
big projects.
Yeah.
Multiple.
So, I mean, it was interesting because that was a project that we target with Focusrite,
I was going to ask you, do you have certain gear that you turn to when it comes to upgrading or creating a room like this?
Yeah, it's either Avid or Focusrite.
Is it? Yeah. What are the needs that they specifically?
They pretty much both do the same in terms of audio interfaces. Focusrite has a lot more dedicated projects, products that work great in an Atmos environment. They have a small monitor control. I believe it's called the R1, which is amazing. So you can actually monitor 714 in a little console. They have all the interfaces you need, the A to Ds and D to As. You need to go in and out to handle all the audio. So that the facility we did in Mexico, it was an all Focusrite, facility.
Okay.
and it worked out great. I love the product. RedNet, it's a step above the rest. And it sounds amazing too. And the easy to use product makes it very simple.
Gotcha.
And my association with Focusrite goes back 30 years.
Does it? Yeah.
Yeah, because in the early 80s, when Rupert Neve left Neve and went to Focusrite, and designed the Focusrite consoles and the Focusrite channels, were designed by Rupert Neve. I was one of the guys that installed the Focusrite console at the Electric Lady.
Okay.
And this is early, like late 80s, and this console was, there were only, I believe only 13 built.
Oh wow.
And so I've been using Focusrite for all my life.
You were telling me your website, I guess, has some of your credits on.
Yeah.
Massive amount of.
Yeah, we've done over 500 facilities.
Wow.
Over the years. In terms of integration, I've installed over 150 SSL consoles.
Wow.
I think about 120 Neve consoles.
Yeah.
So and I think that what we bring to the table that it makes a huge difference is the fact that I'm not a recording engineer, but I can sit down and do a session. It's not going to sound great. I'm not Bob Clearmountain, but it's going to sound decent. So the fact that I can spec the gear, do the acoustics, sit down on a console, configure a system, a Pro Tool system, configure an Atmos system, it puts me in a situation where I understand both, phases of the
Right.
of the project.
Does that affect? You were mentioning you have some acoustic material as well as furniture.
Yeah, we design our own furniture. We design our own acoustic panels. We have our own factory in Mexico at the border within the U.S. So we manufacture big quantity of panels for our products, and then they also get sold by Westlake Pro in LA. So we pretty much have we come around full circle, and it makes it so much easier for me because obviously we do some projects that we don't do the integration. So I got to submit drawings to an integrator. We got to discuss conduits and troughs and networking. Here we'll do everything, which is great because at the end of the day, you're the sole responsible.
For our audience who wants to know more about your company, can you direct us to your website?
Yeah, my website is www.malvicino, which is MALVICINO.com.
DG as in design group.
Designgroup.com.
Very good. All right, definitely check it out.
And the other thing that I didn't mention, and it's that my partner is my wife.
Okay.
Who's also an interior designer. And so we keep pretty much everything, like I said,
in-house. Great. Well,
she owns 51%. I own 49.
Okay, so what she says goes.
There it goes.
Well, thanks for stopping by Post TV,
Thank you.
Horacio.
My pleasure. Take care.